button. And we don't do just podcasts, but we try to do a podcast once every 6 months.
Yo, conceived as one, split into two. Gonna talk so much shit till the air goes blue. After we're through, you're gonna wish you were monozygotic too. Just a couple of Nimpods up to no good. Couple of Nimpods up to no good. See what we're doing there? It's Nimrods. But it's a podcast with Nimpods.
Nimpods 38. Dan. Actually, if I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna be there. I'm pointing it over to you. Do you know when the last Nimpods was?
Is this like, this is a part of our show now, right? Is it part of the show? It's
how,
like, when was the last?
How lazy are we with Nimpods?
When was the last? It's the most riveting start to all these podcasts.
Exactly.
When was the last one?
It was like early February.
I mean, there's nothing more.
Early February.
There's nothing more interesting than just trying to figure out how many months it was or years.
Early February.
That does feel. It felt. I don't feel like it was that long ago, but I guess it has. So
I'm a different man since then.
What are we? June 19th. Early February, and we're at mid-June.
That's crazy.
Now that we got the most riveting stuff over with.
Now it's just downhill from there.
Yeah. Well, I've been preoccupied with and I kind of wish I never told you about it. And what is it?
Preoccupied with something?
Yeah.
Oh, you're always preoccupied with something. Something not unrelated to filmmaking. Oh, shots fired early.
No, it's Geedis in the land of Ta.
Oh, we're gonna talk about this.
You don't want to talk about it?
You know what? I actually had a popper I got with this thing, but why am I not using it? That sucks. Oh well. We apologize for any audio or visual quality issues too. Got to put that thing in there too.
So
we're trying to make this as easy as possible. I've got it sort of set up on my Mac pretty easy now, where I'm literally screen capping a Facebook video, and I have my mic plugged in already, so it's literally just press one button. So have you got to a one button setup yet?
I feel like I've always had it set up properly, and I'm just waiting for you to catch up.
Wow. Okay, moving on.
So, do you know much about the Geedis in the land of Ta?
Yeah, you told me about it. I don't want to bum it out. It's a cool story. Can I start what I know about the story? Is that more interesting?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you told it,
so it's not just one guy blabbing around and going yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so is it Geedis? Geedis in the land of Ta is like this kind of, I guess, a very sub cult thing. What? How many people are interested in this? Like maybe 1,000?
I don't know. There's a couple of thousand
people on the Reddit. You're a big Reddit guy. I just don't. I don't even know how it works. Like you have to sign up to it or something.
I wouldn't say I'm a big Reddit guy, but
no, you're bigger than me. It's basically what I'm saying. But you found this thing, and it's an old sticker. It started out as some guy bought. It basically started by this. Some guy got a pin on eBay. Or a bunch of pins, and one was like
there was a comedian who got this pin, and he couldn't recollect. He bought it, but he couldn't recollect where it was familiar, and then he Googled it, and there was nothing.
Yeah, it was I guess what's kind of the fascinating part of it is the fact that somebody had found something that it couldn't be Googled. I think that's kind of the main thing of it, is that it couldn't be Googled.
Yeah,
and there's very, very sparse stuff about it. And but I think what it really boils down to is because there was very little actually stuff made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think what happens is people.
So basically, there's a pin, and then there's a sticker set, which was very generic.
The pin was brought up, and then I guess this comedian, I can't remember his name, but he searched for it and couldn't find anything about it. But then someone else found like a sticker collection of Geedis along with other characters on these sticker sheets that were pretty popular in the 80s and stuff. I do remember having a few of them back in the day. It was just a lot more prevalent than now. And all these other characters had names and then also said Land of Ta on it. So people just jumped to the idea because everything's a franchise now. There's like, how could this have possibly not been anything other than these stickers and this pin?
And I think this is kind of a lot to say about, like, maybe, I don't know exactly when this Land of Ta was pinpointed, but I'm assuming the 80s.
Yeah, it was like early 80s.
Early 80s. Is things actually... It's like, I think nerds, you know, like, or not, I say nerds in a... like, as I'm a nerd, but like people like us who are into this kind of this nerd culture in a way, I think don't realize, I mean, because we're pretty old, don't, like, people in their, you know, nerds in their 20s don't really realize that things like comic books and like this kind of stuff wasn't a thing that was like really mainstream. So it's like the idea that these things in the 80s could just be something that was nothing. If you know what I mean? Like, you know, there was like a Masters of the Universe He-Man movie and it sucked. Like the idea that it could suck, like something that was so well known. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the idea of
like they were just really poorly made, like low budget, or like they didn't have $300 million to make like an Avengers movie. They had, you know, the Incredible Hulk TV show with Lou Ferrigno, and it was cost $1 to make. I mean, it probably cost quite a bit, but it still looked like $1. And like things weren't put, like even like the early like X-Men movies, like they were fairly on the lower end of, well, I mean, compared to nowadays.
Yeah, lower
you know what I mean?
budget.
Like,
the first X-Men I think was 40 mil or something.
and they weren't like guaranteed to kick ass. Like the first X-Men is like,
hence the lower budget. But yeah, it's funny to think that like there was a point of time that you could have like a Master of the Universe movie.
Yeah.
And it did poorly, and even really at that time, Avengers being not a franchise so much, movie, obviously a movie franchise, but it was like when were the Avengers? 60s. So like even at the He-Man times, Avengers were about 20 plus years old at that point, but like at that time, obviously Master of the Universe was such a bigger property. It's kind of hard to imagine, like, in a very short amount of time how big something is compared to another thing, I guess, when the adults now, the young adults, not young adults, but you know what I mean, like having kids and stuff now, that they're going to see the Avengers, but when in actuality when they were younger, He-Man and like Transformers and stuff was the ones that were actually like the big entities.
Yeah. Yeah, like
I don't know what point I was trying to make.
I don't know. Yeah, my point is a little very fluffy too, kind of like the way we talk all the time. But it's very like, it's just kind of interesting how, like, I mean, we had really shitty Batman movies. Like, you know, there's bad Batman movies. Like, you know, people are like, now they're like, oh, whatever, Batman Beyond wasn't as good as Dark Knight or something. But you still look at those and they're incredible movies on their own. Yeah. Like, absolutely incredible. Then go and watch, like, Batman and Robin. Or like is that the last one with like Schumacher did? Like, it's
I think so.
It's like, I mean, some people like it, but it's like, it's just so not good.
Yeah.
That it's just so hard to believe that like you have such a, I think what I'm trying to get at is like the term IP and franchise and all this stuff that people are actually very aware of in the culture. It wasn't really thought that way. It's like, oh, we hope that the next Batman movie is going to be decent, or we hope the next Spider-Man, like, well, the perfect example is the Raimi Spider-Man movies. They weren't guaranteed to be awesome. And like the fact that he slightly pulled off a superhero movie, I mean, now people look back and like laugh at them, but like those rules were huge at the time.
And we're talking about a relatively short amount of time too.
Yeah, I mean, what
like
was
less than 20
Spider-Man,
years.
99 or 2000?
2001, I think.
Yeah. That's what I mean, is like those weren't like guaranteed hits. If you, I don't know what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, going back to this Geedis thing, which is actually kind of cool. When you told it to me and stuff, it's just the fact that there's something that had a like I don't know. Is there something about the character design and the and maybe even the sticker set with the other guys kind of made it like, oh, this could be something, like it's, you know, it's quirky enough.
Well, it's nostalgic for a time that that they don't, they're so, the characters, especially something like Geedis, who kind of is like an elf, someone described it as like an elf with like a Muppet or something, and it's pretty accurate, but it's like that kind of familiarity, but also that it really didn't go farther than that, sort of, I guess, it really hard for people to get. And I love the idea that people are looking into it more, me included, but like really the only thing I'm hoping for is that they find kind of like the artist and sort of give them sort of like some, I don't know, just it'd be kind of cool to give a little props to him for for doing this, I guess. But like other than that, they're not going to really find anything more to it.
No.
But and I mean, it's already, I've kind of caught on to it late because I think it started in something like 2017.
Oh yeah.
So I got onto the train late, but and there hasn't been a ton, like, but there's still the odd person like looking for clues. But I love the idea of this kind of like hunt. And, you know, probably not going to really solve it. Well, it's going to be solved in the fact that, like, it doesn't mean anything. But
it doesn't have it.
But I think what, especially true, and I'm not sure what the age group is, but like especially true with like people our age, is that I think it sort of hooks into that the old hunt, right? Like you're looking for like back issues of comics, or you're looking for like, you know, to find that episode you didn't see of a show, like that doesn't exist. Really does not exist anymore. So that, for me, that's what kind of like really took my interest. But it's so silly, and it's so, you know, it's just pretty dumb. But it does kind of like, I don't know, it's a good distraction.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I like stories like that. You obviously went down a little bit more of the rabbit hole of it. Oh.
Well, it's funny because there's not really much else. There's like a set of stickers. There's like 3 sheets of stickers. So there's Geedis is on one, along with a couple other guys, and then a couple other sheets of similar kind of style characters. Sort of this very Dungeons and Dragons influenced world, with these kind of knockoff characters. There's a C3PO kind of ripoff character. Looks like he's like a bad guy, basically a bad C3PO. You know, and then there's just like, you know, similar. They're definitely hooked into that He-Man, Star Wars, you know, Conan genres.
Yeah. That
was really big in at that time. Like, what was that? There was a show that it was like He-Man, but it was like a little bit darker one. I can't remember what it was called, but I was looking into it. It was pretty interesting.
What else? So what's another talking point here? Good segue. What's a good segue into something? I think we tapped out on the Geedis idea. Other than like the idea that we maybe why don't we just steal the idea and make a cartoon out of it?
I was thinking about possibly doing like something like that.
It'd be kind of funny, even if it was like
just like an intro or something.
Somebody was like trying to find the copyright, like who owned the trademark to it. I was reading, and they're like, "Well, I'm just going to write a book about it and see who calls me."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think it's a good idea. It's a good way of tracking down who actually. I recently purchased the Duplass Brothers book.
Yeah. Mark
and Jay Duplass, and it's sort of the classic Jamie way of reading. I finished it, but it was like it's kind of like segmented between like it's kind of like very like diary almost based, book. Like there's like chunks that are just solely on like the films and like going through the Sundance and like how they made their movies for no money and stuff. So I sort of like leached to those, lent to, but then like I think I like ended up reading about 80% of it. I don't know why I would just skip some stuff because a lot of it was really interesting. The stuff that's not movie related, but more like just about being brothers and stuff was super interesting, and they have like a very cool relationship, like cool but also like kind of weirdly bad, like not wrong. What's the term? Like, and I saw like parallels to our like kind of relationships. Like really, it's like crazy. Like we're twins and stuff, and but they always kind of like talk to themselves like twins. Like they always thought they were sort of like twins. And you can totally see it in the book that they have that kind of like more of that connection, even though they're like 4 years apart, which is kind of bizarre.
Well, they talk about that. They talk about like how Mark is.
I don't know if maybe do we need to set up who the Duplass brothers are?
Well, I've done movies like Puffy Chair. Was it Jeff Lives at Home?
Basically, what people call mumblecore is they're kind of like the godfathers of it. But there's a funny clip on I think they're on Jimmy Fallon or something, and they don't even know what mumblecore is. Like they don't know what they're talking about. Which I love because it's like,
but they do. Mark Duplass at least says on a lot of podcasts that they kind of met in the middle because he was like, Jay was like, felt like he was like emotionally like 3 years younger or whatever, and then like Mark felt like he was older, so they kind of met at a certain age. Like,
it's really interesting though. Like some of the stories were just like literally could just like replace them with us, like. I don't know, it's just like a really highly recommended book, and I've been wanting to read it for a while. And I think the brother dynamic is really interesting, and I feel like we but we don't utilize the brother thing a lot. Like
you don't take advantage of it.
Don't take advantage of it. I think we always were, because we were like twins. We were so like against. We definitely took it the wrong way as kids, and I look at it now and like I mean whatever. More in front of other people. Like obviously we were like complete twin nerds when we were like not at school or something, but we like really fought against it at times, and I feel like that really like
we didn't fight against it at times. We fought against it all the time.
Yeah, which is like it's kind of weird.
Oh, well, all the time, like especially you're talking about school and stuff. I've had this conversation with someone recently.
But it's more about like in front of other people.
Yeah, I mean, it was all
the embarrassment of twins.
Especially high school, you care way too much about everybody else, and it's just one of those hindsight things that you wish you could just not care.
No,
but that's what happens, and that's what we did. Like in school, in the halls and stuff, it would always be like, oh, we just avoid each other. But like we'd be like after school and weekend stuff, we're like inseparable.
Yeah.
And like either shooting something or drawing and like hanging out in the basement listening to like Korn and fucking Limp Bizkit and stuff.
Because we're so hardcore.
Yeah, I know.
Emo. Rammstein.
I'm still getting over I'm still really hard because of those basement years.
Yeah.
It's like I really try to
can't get that out.
You can't take the corn out of the boy.
No. Corn-fed. Corn-fed Canadian.
Have you listened? When's the last time you listened to like Korn? Are they? And they're actually still making music.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, like you mean like new music?
Well,
new Korn?
I mean any Korn.
No. I found a YouTube album of like I think it was one of the ones we used. I think it was like Follow Leader.
I know we played a lot of Follow Leader and like Issues. Was it Issues after that one?
I always forgot about the Issues album.
Well, they had like weird. The multiple covers and it was like fan art or something. Like it was like they had a contest. I remember.
Mm-hmm. I mean that I'm nothing against Korn. It's just you kind of like
you have your phases.
Yeah, you have your phases.
Korn has their place.
Totally. Yeah. I feel very kind of like out of it today. A little bit out of it. My day's been kind of messed up. Kind of like weirdly, it's like summer raining outside. Is it a little bit rain there?
It hasn't really rained yet.
No.
Oh, no, it's actually starting. I'm like, I can smell it. That's weird. Right when you said that, I could like smell it coming in the door here. Yeah, no, it's been weird. It's been a weird day. The kind of like a just.
Well, you're playing hooky, right?
Well, I'm bunking off.
You're bunking off? You're just
No.
bunking off like that? Yeah.
No, I wasn't bunking off. I was actually legit sick this morning.
Try not to yawn on these things.
Well, I mean, it's we've checked all the boxes off. We've yawned. We've set up
Gotta
like
pep it
how
up. We gotta pep
long
it up.
between Nimpods there's been, which is always like
Let's talk about some projects.
It's always a showstopper.
Let's talk about some projects we've been working on. Oh, we just dropped The Last Tavern 2 7 months later.
Talk about time. Always talk about time. They always talk about time.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's kind of like our thing. Like we've done that a lot. It's weird.
So yeah, well, I say quick as they're like under 2 minutes, but they're just definitely not quick to make. But I'm getting better. So I'm using.
I wouldn't say that like you made this for 8 months.
No,
It's
I
like,
wasn't doing like. I mean,
I would expect like full rendered, frame by frame, 30 frames a second animation. You know.
but yeah, that's the. So Last Tavern is this just kind of like a fun little, almost kind of like a little, I hate saying test, but it's just sort of like getting used to like animating and using Adobe Character Animator, which is it's a neat program. I haven't used any really other like 2D animator program, but this it's kind of neat. It has like a facial tracking, motion tracking sort of system.
It's kind of cool.
And they're constantly updating because Adobe makes like a ton of money a month because it's a monthly subscription. So they have lots of dough to put the updates in, but it's good and a good little community for tutorials and stuff to do it. Yeah, so check it out. Last Tavern. It's like just dropped episode 2. It's under 2 minutes, so. Not wasting too much of your time.
Need to make those a little longer somehow.
Well, I can make them longer, but
yeah.
Yeah.
What other stuff's happened? We had our little the kids Wes and Cal's short that we did last May. It was we shot it last May and then we finished it pretty quick, but then I just randomly sort of like decided to send it to some festivals just to see. I mean, it's a minute long, so I'm like, oh, maybe we could go to like some 1 minute film fests and submitted one to. It seems like a cool festival, and I really want to go. It just might be. It's on the East Coast, so it might be a little tough. And we're also like traveling. We're going together as a family to Cannon Beach around the same time, so it might be a little tough to get there. But it was called the Film One Fest, I think. But the Brobot short that we have, it got selected. It had like over like 2,400 submissions for this festival.
Yeah, the numbers were crazy.
Yeah, and it's in like it's Kevin Smith's basically hometown, so I was like it would have checked so many boxes to go there.
Yeah, no.
To go to a festival in the Jersey area of I think in Red Bank. I think no.
Yeah, I think it was
Highlands, Atlantic Highlands, which I think is very similar area. It's yeah,
it's very cool.
I would have loved to have went. I just don't think it's gonna be possible. But
is it the time? Like, is it in July?
Yeah, it's the day we come back.
Oh yeah.
And it is like it's a 1 minute short, like it's kind of goofy, but whatever. It's like it's
go across the country, but it's not about watching the.
No,
yeah.
It's like kind of connections and stuff, which it would have been kind of cool to go as like, actually a creator, not and then I would love to check some spots out, like the Clerks, quick stop and stuff. That'd be kind of cool. Do a little tour of it.
Yeah, I wonder how close it all is.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think. The the secret stash is really close by there and stuff.
That's cool. Well,
I think we got a good 20-minute episode here.
yep.
Not the most energetic. The thing about Nimpods is like I don't think we don't want to sell it like what it isn't, and it's not. It's I think once we like we always said this, but if we ever like kind of just get more of like a regular basis of this thing going, like I think it would turn into more of a.
I think we should start kind of like branching out for guests and stuff.
I think it'd be cool. Dude, like when we started off the very first podcast, I think we had like 5 people. The very first time we ever podcast was like 5.
We like dwindled them. We like bored
But
them.
that was like 5 years ago.
But it's interesting. It's
6
nice
years ago.
getting that kind of like at least that third person to kind of get like change it up a little bit.
Can you do 3-ways on here?
I don't know.
Add more people. It says right there.
Where are you here? Are you capturing audio?
Yeah. Oh, not everybody's, just mine. It doesn't record yours for some reason.
Oh, weird. Well, you might be able to if you select like desktop audio or something, like select it all, like everything that's coming into the computer. But then you'd have to do something separate. All right. That's it. That's it for
Nimpods
Nimpods.
38. Check us out on YouTube. We're probably watching us on YouTube, so hit that subscribe button. And we don't do just podcasts, but we try to do a podcast once every 6 months. And cop that merch. We don't have merch. If you would like to have merch, let's leave the audience with a question. Because I feel like that generates comments, even if it's one comment.
So this is banking on someone listening, or
The
maybe
whole way.
the whole way along, or are we just gonna cut and paste this to like the very beginning?
It'll be like part of the thing. It's like let's leave the people with a question. Like that'll be like the little.
So the maybe 2 poor souls who listen to the entire thing get to hear this. And what is it? What's the question?
Yeah, this is like the big at the end, right? What's the question?
Oh, you
Let's leave
didn't.
a
I thought
question.
you had one. You had it like you were setting one up.
No.
Like,
I have the idea for the question.
oh, okay. So I'm the one that has to come up with the question. You come up with the idea. I come up with the question.
We talked about Geedis.
Talking about Geedis.
We talked about. What did we talk about?
I have mentioned it on the podcast before about this kind of like this mythical hunt for things that is hard now with Amazon or eBay or anything, all these marketplaces that are easy to find very obscure things.
Mm-hmm.
And the magic of Geedis is that it's very hard to find anything. It's very hard to find, like, say, some of these stickers, for one, but also any information. So we live in this time of, like, which is great. 99.9% of the time, it's awesome. Like, I want to know how to make some kind of new dish. I can put it up on my phone. But I'm trying to lead to a question, sort of on that path.
Do you think the internet is bad or good?
No, the internet is good.
How big is the world now? Everything. Edge of their seats.
Do you think this has nothing to do with the travel, the hunt, but maybe it does? Do you think we'll solve climate change?
Oh, this is like you've been weighing heavy on this lately. That is Bill Nye got you, right? Did you?
I haven't actually even watched the Bill Nye video.
Oh, it was weird because the timing of it was like kind of impeccable.
Well, no, it's been around for a while. I mean, I've been on Reddit.
I think that video's
Reddit gets things always a little earlier. No, maybe this is can be explored.
It's funny that we didn't
next
talk about it at all.
I know, but maybe next Nimpods. This is the sort of the tantalizing. We'll talk about it next podcast. But yeah.
If you leave a comment, we'll mention your comment and give you a good mad shout out.
We'll plug you out. We'll
like subscribe crazy. To your channel. We'll sub for sub.
We're sub for sub. We're
really horrid at it. Yeah.
If you've listened to us for longer than 10 minutes, you deserve all that and more.
Also, I want to add another comment. If this is your first Nimpods you ever listened to all the way through, if you've done it before, what's your favorite Nimpods episode?
Or is this going to be the last time you do that?
Yeah. Or did you regret? Do you want your 30 minutes back? Wow, it'll probably be 25 minutes if you did it. You're not getting it back. We're not getting it back. Why would you get it back? We out.